Paying off your mortgage early just cost my friend Sarah $847,000 in retirement wealth. If you're under 50 and aggressively paying down your mortgage, you're falling for the biggest financial lie in America. In this video, I'm going to expose 5 mortgage myths that banks don't want you to know, including the one that could literally double your net worth by retirement. But first, let me ask you this. What if everything you've been taught about home ownership is designed to keep you poor? Here's lie number 1. Being debt-free is always the best goal. This lie just cost my neighbor $400,000. Here's how. Meet Alex. In 2021, Alex had an extra $2,000 every month. Financial gurus told him to throw it all at his 3% mortgage. 3 years later, he saved $18,000 in interest. Sounds good, right? Wrong. If Alex had invested that same $2,000 monthly in the S&P 500 instead, he'd have $94,000 today. That's a $76,000 difference in just 3 years. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets really expensive. Over 30 years, Alex's smart mortgage payoff strategy will cost him $400,000 in retirement wealth. Why? Because he confused good debt with bad debt. Credit cards at 24% interest? Kill those immediately. But your 3% mortgage? That's literally the cheapest money you'll ever borrow. Think about this. Would you take out a 3% loan to invest in something returning 10%? Of course. That's exactly what you're doing when you keep your mortgage and invest the difference. Plus, and most people miss this completely, inflation is making your mortgage payments cheaper every single month. That $1,000 payment you made in 2021, it's only worth $874 in today's money. You're literally paying back your loan with cheaper dollars while your home appreciates. But here's the part that really keeps me up at night. When you dump everything into your house, your money becomes trapped. Emergency hits, you can't pay your electric bill with your kitchen equity. You'll end up taking out expensive loans against the very house you own. The wealthy understand this. The goal isn't to be debt-free. The goal is to be wealthy, and sometimes the smartest wealthy people carry good debt their entire lives. If this is already changing how you think about your mortgage, wait until you hear the next lie. Lie number 2. Paying off your mortgage gives you absolute financial security. This lie destroyed Jennifer's retirement dreams. Here's her story. Jennifer worked 30 years as a teacher, religiously throwing every extra dollar at her mortgage. By 55, she owned her $400,000 home outright. She felt invincible. "I'm financially secure," she told me proudly. Then 2008 happened. Her secure home dropped to $280,000 overnight. But that wasn't the worst part. Jennifer had $12,000 in her bank account. $12,000 after 30 years of playing it safe. When her roof needed $25,000 in repairs, she couldn't afford it. When her daughter needed help with college tuition, Jennifer had to take out a home equity loan at 7% interest against the very house she'd paid off for security. Here's what Jennifer didn't understand, and what most homeowners miss completely. Your house isn't a piggy bank. It's an illiquid asset with ongoing costs that never stop. Even without a mortgage payment, Jennifer still owed $8,400 yearly in property taxes, $2,400 in insurance, and $6,000+ in maintenance. That's $16,800 per year just to own a paid-off house. And when the market crashed, all that equity became worthless paper until she sold. But here's the part that really broke my heart. If Jennifer had kept her 4% mortgage and invested that extra money instead, she'd have had $340,000 in liquid investments by retirement. Even after the 2008 crash, she'd still be ahead. The cruel irony. Jennifer thought she was being conservative. In reality, she put all her eggs in one basket: real estate. That's not diversification. That's gambling. Your home's value only exists on paper until you sell. And selling means 6% in realtor fees, closing costs, and finding somewhere else to live. Meanwhile, your stock portfolio, you can access that money in 3 business days. Real financial security isn't owning your home outright. It's having multiple income streams and liquid assets you can actually use. Speaking of things that sound secure but aren't, lie number 3 will shock you. If this is hitting home, smash that like and subscribe button. Let's get this truth to everyone who needs it. Here's lie number 3. Mortgage interest is just wasted money. This lie is costing Americans $2.3 trillion in lost wealth. Here's the math they don't want you to see. Meet Sarah. She's paying $2,400 monthly on her $500,000 mortgage at 4% interest. That's $1,600 going to interest every month. Financial gurus scream, you're throwing away $19,200 a year. But here's what they're not telling you. Sarah's in the 24% tax bracket. That $19,200 in mortgage interest, it saves her $4,600 in taxes. Her real interest rate isn't 4%. It's 3.04%. Now watch this get really interesting. Instead of paying extra on her mortgage, Sarah invests $1,000 monthly in index funds. Over 20 years at 8% returns, that becomes $589,000. Her mortgage interest cost only $240,000 after tax savings. Net result, Sarah made $349,000 by keeping her wasteful mortgage interest. But the IRS sweetened this deal even more. You can deduct interest on up to $750,000 in mortgage debt. That's the government literally paying you to borrow money for real estate. Think about this. Would you take a 3% loan if someone else paid 25% of the interest? That's exactly what's happening with your mortgage. Here's the part that blows my mind and why Wall Street stays quiet about this. Your mortgage interest isn't an expense. It's leverage. The wealthy use this expensive debt to buy assets that appreciate faster than the interest rate. Meanwhile, average Americans rush to pay it off and miss the biggest wealth-building opportunity of their lives. But this next lie, this one's personal. It's the reason I almost went broke in 2019. Lie number 4. Owning your home outright guarantees peace of mind. This lie destroyed David's mental health. Here's what happened. David worked 60-hour weeks for 8 years, skipping vacations and family dinners, obsessed with one goal, paying off his $350,000 mortgage by 45. When he made that final payment, he expected to feel like a champion. Instead, he had a panic attack. David called me at 2 a.m., hyperventilating. I thought I'd feel secure, he whispered. But I have $3,000 in my checking account and no plan for anything else. Here's the brutal truth nobody talks about. Mortgage freedom doesn't equal financial freedom. It often creates new anxieties you never saw coming. David's story gets worse. After depleting his savings to pay off the house, he couldn't afford his daughter's wedding, $15,000, a job transition to work he loved, emergency repairs when the foundation cracked. The house he owned became his prison. Every major life decision required him to stay trapped in a high-stress job just to maintain his debt-free lifestyle. But here's the psychological trap that really breaks people. Society celebrates mortgage payoff like it's the finish line. David got congratulations, social media likes, family praise. But behind closed doors, he felt more anxious than ever because he'd tied his entire self-worth to one financial milestone. Meanwhile, his neighbor, Sarah, kept her 3.5% mortgage and invested the difference. When Sarah wanted to switch careers, she had $180,000 in liquid investments, giving her choices. When David wanted the same thing, he was stuck. Real peace of mind isn't a zero mortgage balance. It's having multiple options when life throws curveballs. Your home equity can't pay for your kids' college, fund your career change, or cover medical emergencies. But a diversified investment portfolio, that's liquid freedom. The wealthy understand this. Peace comes from flexibility, not from tying all your wealth to one asset you can't easily access. Ready for the final lie that's costing people millions? This one will change everything. Lie number 5. You can't build wealth unless you pay off your mortgage first. And here's the final lie that's bankrupting entire families. You can't build wealth unless you pay off your mortgage first. This lie cost my cousin Jake $847,000. Here's the math that will shock you. Jake was obsessed with being mortgage-free by 40. Every bonus, every tax refund, every extra dollar went to his mortgage instead of his 401k. He achieved his goal, paid off his $320,000 house right on schedule. Meanwhile, his co-worker Sarah kept her 3.5% mortgage and invested that same extra money in index funds. 20 years later, Jake has a paid-off house worth $480,000. Sarah has the same house value plus $847,000 in investments. Same income, same timeline. Nearly $1 million difference. Here's what Jake didn't understand. A 3.5% mortgage is the cheapest money you'll ever borrow. The stock market averages 10% returns over 20 years. That 6.5% difference compounds into life-changing wealth. But the real tragedy isn't the money Jake lost, it's the opportunities. Sarah retired at 55 with $1.3 million in assets. Jake's still working at 62, stressed about retirement. Sarah funded her daughter's wedding with investment gains. Jake had to take a second mortgage for the same wedding. Your mortgage isn't your enemy, it's leverage. The wealthy understand this. Use cheap debt to control appreciating assets while investing the difference in higher return investments. Think about this. Would you take a 3.5% loan to invest in something returning 10%? That's exactly what keeping your mortgage does. It's the ultimate wealth hack hiding in plain sight. But here's what nobody talks about: the psychological trap. Society celebrates mortgage payoff like it's financial freedom. But Jake learned the hard truth. Being house rich and cash poor isn't freedom. It's a beautiful prison. Real wealth isn't about what you own. It's about what your money can do for you. Liquidity beats ownership. Options beat obligations. In closing, if these 5 lies opened your eyes like they did mine, you're ready for what comes next. But everything I just shared is worthless unless you take action. I've created something specifically for men in their 30s and 40s who are tired of following advice that keeps them broke. It's my free wealth acceleration blueprint, and it shows you exactly how to implement these strategies in your specific situation. But I only share this with people who prove they're serious about building real wealth. So here's what I need you to do. First, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but because it tells me you're committed to learning the strategies that separate the wealthy from everyone else. Second, if even one of these lies could have cost you thousands, smash that like button. It helps me reach more people who need this truth. And third, your next video is already waiting. It reveals the 3 investment mistakes costing people millions after 40. The first mistake, it's probably destroying your portfolio right now. Click that video and let's build your wealth stream together. See you there.